Hello, and welcome to a video that I'm actually quite excited to make. As you can see here, this is what remains right now of the Sand Green Sanctuary, or my big BrickSlopes 2023 mock. Yes, I did also do Naboo, and I have yet to take that apart. But I've begun taking this one apart, um, trying to test out some concepts, as well as I am going to use a large portion of particularly the rock work um, for my BrickSlopes 2024 mock. Um, and that I am really excited to get to work on, I suppose. And so I've done a little bit, though I am going to try with this one to keep the work that I'm doing on it to a minimum between making videos. But as you can see here, I've put together a um, little, basically a rough outline of the mock, and so obviously you can all tell what it is. I don't really need to say. Um, no, I will. I'm excited to tell you.
Wouldn't you rather give it all at once to something real?
Obviously, it's not to scale.
We're treating what happened at Aldhani like a robbery.
What would you call it?
An announcement.
Let's get to it.
If you haven't put it together yet, I am talking about Andor. It's a great TV show. It's pretty much the only solid Disney Star Wars content we've gotten. Um, but I decided that I wanted to build a mock from Andor, because this year at BrickSlopes I was walking around, and you don't really see a whole lot of Andor representation. Um, I was a little disappointed, because I really like Andor, but there just aren't that many Andor mocks out there. And so what I've chosen to build uh, is Aldhani. So my plan for Aldhani is kind of simple. As you can see, I've built this little uh, diagram, I suppose. I just sort of found random parts and tried to put it together in a way that I could map it out in some way that was a little better than just my head. So the way that BrickSlopes works is that you have to register your mock by size. That way they know how much table space they're going to need. And so they have you measure it in 32 by 32 base plates. And so for this, um, basically each 4 by 4 section is equivalent to a 32 by 32 base plate. Um, so right now I've got it at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 by 2, which for reference the Sand Green Sanctuary was 3 by 2. So I may end up reducing this down. I'm not sure. The dam design is kind of the one that I'm struggling with right now, at least mentally, because I want to have, obviously the underground sort of section of the base with the hauler inside and the vault. And then I'll need to have a hole that comes out of that, that goes through the dam. And so trying to figure out if I'm going to extend the dam or if I need to put that under the water, and if I'm going to extend the water. The water is 1.5 base plates long, and right now that's the case because that is as long as the black light that I would like to put underneath there, and then have it shine up on the trans medium blue that I want to use for the base of the water, so that way the water all lights up. And then because I want to use that black light, I'm going to need a space for a battery plug-in area, and so that's sort of what those white bricks over there represent, is just sort of an area where I can put that. But this whole section here will end up being the Alkenzi Air Base, and I've got this little arch here. Let's see if, yeah, I've got the arch there, just to sort of represent where I want the door to be. I want the door to be outlooking the lake or the dammed up sacred river. And then essentially I want to have it where I want to be able to connect the water as its own layer, that will be essentially suspended. I plan on using plenty of these sort of trans clear pillar pieces. Obviously I want to put some Technic connections in there to make them a bit more secure, but they are 13 studs, or 13 bricks long or tall, so they'll give me plenty of space to put things in between the different levels. But I'd like to have the water suspended there, and then above the water I'd like to, which these clouds are sort of just representing basically where it's going to go, but I would like to create the eye, and I've already got a bunch of trans clear pieces, and then I've got a bunch of like trans orange studs, and probably throw in some trans neon green. And then I've got one of these light boxes. I used one of these on Naboo and the Sandgreen Sanctuary, but it has this alternate light pattern that has all sorts of blues, yellows, reds, and greens in there, and it fades in and out like such. And so I'd like to weave that in and out of pretty much this sort of layer that I'd like to create, that I would then add on top of everything else to form the eye. And the battery pack for the lights I would hide inside of a Rono trawler. And I want to build 2 of those, one to have inside of the vault, and then one to have up in the air. Which, the more I'm thinking about it, the more I think that, yeah, the dam might get reduced or pushed back, because then obviously I do want to have the field, and I want it to be built up towards the back, but then sort of slope down to almost flat over here. And then, of course, somewhere in here we'll have to have the ruins of the temple, as well as put in a bunch of the Aldhani at their celebration. The background, I do want to, because I've seen 2022, there was a Mandalorian MOC that was just the Razor Crest, and then they built the sky behind it, all as just one layer of bricks. And then this year, 2023, there was a Jurassic World scene that they built the sky out of a layer of bricks on the back. And I really like that look. And I think for Aldhani, that could work out really well. Especially using some like dark turquoise, uh, as well as probably bright green is probably going to be the color that I go with. I'm not entirely sure, but I'd like to build that up to where have the eye sort of top it out. So essentially, when it's all put together, it'll be sort of its own little box with the eye covering the top. Then everything sort of being square from there. Um, Obviously, this is quite the endeavor. This may get reduced in size, but obviously trying to think about, because like the Rono Trawler, it's got to have 3 doors, and so I want to use the 4x6 sort of hinge piece for all 3 of those doors. So if we put a 1 stud gap between those, then that's at least 15 studs for the main body, which is already almost half of a 32 by 32 base plate. And so, yeah, it's going to be quite the endeavor, but I'm looking forward to taking it on, and I hope that you guys look forward to seeing the rest of the MOC in progress. One other part that I suppose I should give on, or I should talk about, is that so essentially for this, because it's going to have to be so sectioned out, um, I'm trying, obviously, I'm thinking a bit ahead on some things, like the Rono Trawler, but I'm going to start with the Alkenzi Air Base over here, um, and then I think the plan for me is to just move this way across. So we'll do the air base, then the water, then the garrison, and then the field. The dam will probably be part of the garrison. And then probably last, but certainly not least, will be the eye. Because for that, I'll need to for sure know how long the whole MOC is going to be. But so for right now, I've sort of started work on the airbase. I've been sort of gathering figures together. So a few pilots. I want to have one of, if I can get them to stand, one of these sort of grounds crew from Rogue One. Want to have one of them on the ground in front of the little entrance, and then I'll have empty sort of suspenders for the TIE fighters, because I want to have all 3 of them out in force. I know there were 4, but I think I'm gonna have to keep it to 3. or well, there were 4 in the base. There were 3 in the sky, but I've already started work on sort of what I want the TIE fighters to be, because of the fact that uh, they're going to be essentially suspended in air, or propped up by those trans clear pieces. I want them to be as light as possible. So I started off with this sort of juniors build for the TIE Fighter. I am using the junior wings as a base for the TIE Fighter, just because they're the right shape, they're light, um, so it's a real easy and real good base to start off from. Um, I think I've pretty much finalized the wing design that I want to go with. Um, where I've got a bunch of these grill pieces coming in black. I just had a whole bunch in pearl gold from a really old pick-a-brick haul, which those pieces, A, because they're the grill pieces, but B, because they're pearl gold, they are particularly fragile, so I'm going to have a fun time taking those off, but I think that'll give the right sort of texture to the wings, as well as those lines are pretty easy to get in there, and so I think once it's all finished up, because obviously need to add the proper tiles on like the sides, but I think that'll look pretty good. And then for the body, I don't want to use the junior's body, particularly because it's very plain, and also the back, it's gonna be more of a project to try and round that out than I think it's worth. So what I am going to try and do um, is I'm gonna try to take the brand new TIE Interceptor um, that you can see here, and I'm gonna try and basically modify 3 of them so that I just get the cockpit. Um, Obviously, they've got a big Technic brick going all the way through, or several, so that will have to be changed. And you can already see my design for the guns, because I don't want the spring-loaded shooters on there. I found that the Friends sort of makeup piece or lipstick piece, it is a dual mold, um, which is weird because it's more of a rubbery plastic, I suppose. Maybe it is rubber, but on the back side, it's got the gray outside with the little red inside, and so I put those through a headlight brick, and I think that looks really good as far as the guns on a TIE Fighter go. I am going to put them in light bluish gray headlight bricks instead of the dark bluish gray they're in now. But yeah, so hopefully I'll be able to take that cockpit and then put um, one of these wings on the side, or on each side, and then I should have my 3 TIE fighters. So then from there I'll be able to properly size out the base and figure out sort of what I need to do as far as sizing. Because I also want to put in, there's a Landa class shuttle inside of the airbase in the show, and so I want to make a smaller one and put it in there, which right now I'm worried about putting the TIE fighters together, so I'll worry about that, and then the Landa class shuttle, because the new Landa class shuttle, it's not that hard to get, especially without figures, and so that'll probably be my base for modifying that to make it smaller, and then have it fit inside the base. And obviously, I've given myself quite a bit of room for the base, at least as far as this little mini model goes. So yeah, I suppose this has been BrickSlopes 2024 mock update number 1. Again, with this series, I do really want to go really in depth, especially with it being a bigger mock than I have ever taken on before. And so, yeah, I hope that you guys like this type of video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.